These are our NFL bets for week 4. We're going to go through and give you 3 bets each, including our lock of the week. Last week, what was our overall record? It was
11 and
11 and
1.
1.
11 and
And
1.
yeah,
What was that
hit
one
my
from?
lock. I
What was
finally
that
hit
one
my
from?
lock, but I was on the wrong side of that Eagles
Oh,
spread. So that was our one loss, unfortunately. But Bengals, they were my lock, so I'm happy that I'm on the board there. But yeah, we're crushing Nick so far 3-0 still with his locks, but I mean, just been overall records looking great on the year through 3 weeks so far.
PB,
All right, yeah,
I need you to keep hitting these so we stop the backpacking you. I mean, I understand you're over 50% right now, but if you get to like 7-2 like Nick and I, or even 6-3 like Alex, it would look a lot better. So
it
this week,
was. It was
let's
better.
do a little bit better here.
Yeah. Well, I was doing the backpacking last year. Now
Okay.
I had to, I had to take it off for a second,
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
but I'll put it back on. I'll put it back on. All right. All right. First pick. Um, I guess I'll start here. I'm going with the Saints Bucks over 40.5 points. Saw Derek Carr go down. He's going to be out this week. It's looking like Winston is going to be the starter. We know Winston likes to sling it. The Kamara is going to be returning, and I expect a pass-heavy attack on both sides. That's what the Bucks are best at right now. I mean, with Mike Evans and Godwin, and both teams are very solid against the run. So I just think there's going to be a lot of pass attempts on both sides of the ball, which will, there'll be a lot more plays in this game, a lot more chances to score, and it's revenge game for Jameis here as well. I just think it's going to be a much higher scoring game than 40.5. I think it could be a very sneaky shootout. And I think the addition of Kamara coming back, we know that he excels the most as a pass catcher. So all signs to me point towards the over here.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, my only bet out of this game is it's like a minus 10,000 bet. It's Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans to square up at least 2 times.
Yeah, we know they always get chippy in this situation. Lattimore seems to have always won that battle, but
Oh,
we'll see.
you talking about the
Well, I mean,
physical
he
fight or
has.
the
Look at
fight on the
look at.
field?
I don't know about the physical fight.
Yeah.
Maybe actual
Oh no,
football, but
actual football, like what actually matters.
No. Pride's a big part of football.
Well, yeah, it'll be a fun one for that reason, though.
all right,
Yeah.
I'll jump in here.
Yeah, go for it.
Like we always do, Corey. Same time.
Always.
My first bet of this week is going to be the Chiefs and the Jets under 42.5. So let's look at the Chiefs' last 3 games. They demolished the Bears 10-41. They have a struggle in Jacksonville, putting up 17 points against the Jags, and then on the first game of the year, put up 20 against the Lions. However, their defense on the other side has been pretty stout, allowing 13.3 points per game. And the Jets defense is clearly not their issue. They're still top tier. They're on the field a ton, which has definitely brought them down a little bit, but they're still only allowing 14 points a game. And they're averaging 14 points a game on offense, excuse me. And that is somewhat inflated because we saw that Garrett Wilson insane touchdown catch 2 weeks ago, and then they had the overtime punt return touchdown in week 1. So, I mean, 14 is probably pretty generous on that end. On top of that, the last 16 of 20 and 14 of the last 15 Jets games have gone on under 41.5.
Wow.
On top of that, primetime unders are 60% over the last 4 years, 7-2 going into Monday Night Football. I think Callie's a little concerned about this pick, but this opened at 45. I was lucky enough to grab it at 43. I think we still see it go down to those key numbers in the low 40s in the NFL are 43, 41, and 40. So would grab it now at 42.5 before that continues to lower.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Jets can't score points, though. Colin Kaepernick did write a letter to the Jets owner today, so maybe. No, I'm just kidding. Colin Kaepernick is desperate after he said some things about the NFL. Now he's begging to get back in, but that is what it is. Moving on to my pick here. Obviously, splendid record last week, going 3-0. I probably going to do it again this week. Actually, no, I'm not going to do it this week because I don't want to jinx myself. But what I'm going to say is I have the Packers here Thursday night football at +1.5, and they're at home to the Detroit Lions. Now, not quite sure why. I mean, I understand the Lions are overall seem like the better team on paper, but Jared Goff is not a good quarterback away. Since he's been with the Lions, he's 5-9-1 for his career. He has 13 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions with a 63.5 completion rates. We know the Lions are a wagon at home. They play much better. Jared Goff, Lambeau Field is a different animal, regardless of who's back there on the team. Those fans come out, obviously in droves here. And I just think the Packers, they're getting healthier. Not sure about their offensive line with Bakhtiari coming back. He's still questionable. Aaron Jones should be back for this game. Maybe they get Watson back for this game, which definitely would help out their passing game. But obviously last week, PB said, who would score for the Packers. I mean, they didn't really need to score a whole lot to cover that game. So I'm taking the Packers here. I think overall they're just a better team at home. Jordan Love looks pretty comfortable in that offense right now. And, Green Bay 7-1 ATS last 8. I think they just have a really good home record here against the Lions. So give me the Packers here to cover this.
Yeah, I hate it. Jordan Love is a guy. And we're going to have probably the first 2 picks in the draft this year. So at least we'll get a fresh start with Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. But
I mean, that is what the Bears should be rooting for right now, because I would be going nuts with that setup.
Agreed. But back to this year. My second pick in here, and I think Corey's riding it with me, is going to be Vikings -3.5 taking on the Panthers. The Vikings were by far and away the luckiest team in the league last year, 11-0 in one-score games, and this year have statistically been the unluckiest team in the league, now going 0-3 in one-score games. Had chances to be 2-1. I think they should have beat the Bucs week 1. Had a chance to beat the Chargers late in that game last week, and I think should have covered at least against the Eagles in week 2. The Panthers on the other side of the ball are one of the worst teams in the league. They've also got injuries across the board. Obviously, we don't know if we're getting Bryce Young or Andy Dalton. But regardless, right now, they don't have anyone that can line up against Jay Jettas with JC Horn on IR. And one of their stud safeties, Xavier Woods, is doubtful already on a Tuesday here. So probably not playing. And then just last little bit here before I let you take it away, Corey. The Panthers' pass rush is pretty atrocious. I mean, they've got Brian Burns in the middle there, but their front line is not very good. And Kirk Cousins has looked very good when he's not been pressured this year. I mean, over 3 games, he's averaging basically 360 yards, almost 70% completion percentage, and 3 touchdowns a game. So I think the Vikings get it done here. I don't think they're going 0-4. Against the bad Panthers team.
Yeah, I'm riding with you here, Alex. 3.5 for the Vikings seems a little bit too low. I understand they're 0-3, but the caliber on paper for the Vikings just is significantly higher than the Panthers. They literally have no one on that team. That defense absolutely depleted. Obviously, Alex named a couple of guys. I mean, to add on to that list, they lost Shaq Thompson. JC Horn's been out. He's on IR. I mean, their offensive line's not very good. The Vikings have a pretty good pass rush as well. And regardless if it's Andy Dalton or Bryce Young, I would assume Bryce Young would probably play this game. I mean, if it's just
it's gonna be Dalton again.
It's gonna be Dalton again on a short week.
I think.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, Andy Dalton's just hanging on by a thread in this league at this point.
He looked better than Bryce in that offense.
Yeah,
to be totally fair.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, they do definitely look a little more, I guess, quote unquote, explosive, but I mean, just look more competent, I guess,
Yeah.
instead of, you know, yeah. And again, what Alex said, I mean, who's going to guard? I mean, Jefferson. I mean, he's going to have a monster game this year or this week. And yeah, I think that if this game was in Minnesota, I mean, the spread would be at least a touchdown. I mean, it's not like Carolina has a huge like following home. I mean, yeah, they have a home crowd, but nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's 3 points worth. So yeah, I mean, I see the Vikings getting back on track here, and winning this game by at least a touchdown, maybe more. And then I think this kind of catapults them into their season here, and they probably rattle off like 5 or 6 straight after this.
Okay, hold your horses there.
I mean, the one thing I will say is like the Vikings secondary is extremely slow, but the Panthers don't really have
DJ
speedsters.
Chark.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too worried about DJ Chark.
Yeah, I
think
mean,
he'll have a big game.
Adam Thielen is their best player right now, and all he's doing is running like 5-10 yard outs. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Dinkin and Duncan.
yeah, I mean, if you think DJ Chark's gonna have a good game, I mean, okay,
I do. That's just my personal opinion.
okay.
All right. My second pick, Browns Ravens over 41. I'm kind of on besides my lock, I'm on kind of these over unders here, and just another game that I think is too low. Both of these teams have lost their star running backs. Just like that Saints Bucks game, I think this game is going to be more pass heavy. You know, with Monken there with the Ravens. With this Ravens defense just really depleted right now. It's very, very vulnerable, kind of on both sides of the ball. But I just think both of these teams are going to rely on their quarterbacks that they paid a ton of money to sling the ball. And for as bad as Deshaun Watson has been, I think this is a get right spot, and it better be for his sake. Because, I mean, it's looking like one of the worst deals in NFL history if he can't get it together here soon. Because I mean, I know they're 2-1, but it has not been on the back of Deshaun Watson. Their defense has been great, but with Lamar, like they haven't faced a mobile quarterback yet, and I know they can get after the quarterback, but I think Lamar is going to have a pretty big game on the ground as well. So I think this is another game that could. Both of these are divisional games too. You know that's probably a lot of the reason why the total is set so low. Is divisional games tend to be lower scoring, but I think both of these right now in the game environments, are going to be a little bit more of a sneaky shootout.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That ties right into Alex.
Yeah.
You play PB.
I mean, you're teeing me up here a little bit, but my lock of the week is actually the other side of this game. So one of us is not going to go perfect this week, PB. I'm going to take the under here. I mean, the Browns have the best defense in the league. I'm ready to give it to them. They've had the 3 best single game defensive success rates, week 1, week 2, and week 3. They've allowed 1 scrimmage TD, total QBR of 23. They've averaged giving up 3.2 yards per play and 10.7 points per game. That is first in every single ranking. They held Derrick Henry to 20 yards on 11 attempts. I know we talked about Derrick Henry in preseason, but I mean, still a horse. And I touched on the Ravens injuries last week, and they're still there. 2 of their best offensive linemen are still questionable against that passing attack from the Browns. And while Deshaun had his best game as a Brown in week 3, it was against the Titans. And we all know that they're a pass funnel and second-rate defense. And I think the Ravens are going to be a tougher matchup. And again, this is your typical AFC North grind. I think the first team to 14-17 probably wins this game. I think it's a slog.
Yeah, where's this game played in Baltimore? Yeah,
I believe it's in Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, is it going to be raining again in Cleveland? I feel like every single game they played in Cleveland's been like rainy.
Yeah.
It's in Cleveland.
It's in Cleveland. God, I feel like the Browns have played every single game at home this year. But okay. I'm also moving over to my lock of the week here. I'm probably taking the most popular game, and I'm going to be saying, "Stop taking the cheese, Corey. Stop taking the cheese." But I'm taking the over. And Dolphins Bills 53.5 is the over under right now. Yeah, just give me offense all day. I'm 1-0 so far with taking Dolphins overs so far, and I feel like you could take them every single game at this point in time. I mean, obviously they just hanged 70 points, which is obviously absurd in this day and age against. I mean, coming into, we thought the Broncos defense would be pretty good, but obviously Sean Payton is not a good coach, and the Broncos cannot be turned around by anyone because that team is just a dumpster fire at this point in time. But back to the Bills. I mean, the Bills have been averaging 30 plus points a game. Obviously, the Dolphins are obviously with last week, their average is like in the 40s now. But yeah, I mean, they're just too high powered offense. Jalen Waddle should be back for this game. Definitely helps out. Raheem Mostert and A-Chain. Obviously, we got to see with their first pick in the draft for the Dolphins, A-Chain. But actually wants to be called Devon A-Chain. Doesn't want to be called A-Chain anymore. He wants his full name. So
A-Chan.
Devon
A-Chan.
Yeah, and it's not like the Bills have a great defensive line. I think the Dolphins get back to the running game. Obviously, a lot of those scrimmage yards was kind of in garbage time last week for the Dolphins, but I think the Bills probably win this game in a close one. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is close to like a 37-34 last second field goal by Big Leg Bass to win the game for the Bills. But yeah, I mean, I just want to see points, and I think this is the perfect game for it to happen. So give me the over there, 53.5. And actually, for one stat here, just because I love to give meaningless stats to
that's what you do.
To anything I do. The over in the last 17 games against Miami and the Bills, 12 of them have gone over. So meaningless stat, back to 12 games ago, 17 games, 12 of those have gone over. So I'm going to ride with that meaningless stat.
What week is the NFL allowed to flex games?
They should flex now.
They should flex this game into the Chiefs-Jets night spot. Yeah. Because, I mean, initially going into the season, that was looking like a great game to watch at night. But screw that. Give us this one in prime time.
You know how many primetime games the Jets and Giants have just because they're New York market is. The Giants have another one this week.
Imagine how much fun that showdown slate would be.
Oh, that would be so much fun. I'm going to play it anyways.
All right. Well, last pick here, I was considering doing the Bills here, Bills spread, but we're going with the Jaguars -3 versus the Falcons. Corey, are you high on the Falcons?
No, I'm just not high on the Jaguars.
Okay. Well, who do you think is better?
I mean, I don't know. I think they're both
okay. So I don't understand. So the Bengals lose a couple. They don't look that great. People are like, oh, I don't know if the Bengals are it anymore. Are we doing the same thing? I mean, the Bengals are obviously, most people would be like, well, they're still probably a good team. Are people really ready to just say the Jags aren't good?
I mean, they went one game over 500 last year. They're not like a spectacular team by any means necessary.
The Jags are still a very good team, in my opinion.
Okay.
And all the Falcons know how to do is run the ball. That's just all they do. They have incredible weapons in Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and they choose to consistently just run the ball. Well, the Jaguars are allowing only 84 rushing yards a game so far this year. Their defense is actually pretty underrated overall, even on the passing side of things. The Jags are not as bad as their record shows, just like I was saying about the Bengals. They're way, 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 way better than that. They're still winning that division. This is a major buy low spot on the Jaguars and a sell high spot on the Falcons, who I said it's between the Saints and the Falcons to win that division. But, that the Jags and the Falcons are still in completely different leagues. The Jags are much closer to that top tier than and the Falcons are probably much closer to the bottom tier. So I'm taking the Jags -3 in London town.
The fact that you use Jaguars and top tier in the same sentence is absolutely
Yeah,
disgusting.
I think they're close. I didn't say.
I know.
I haven't said the Jags are top tier, but I think they're closer to top tier than like they're as close to top tier as I think the Falcons are to like a bottom tier.
Yeah. I mean,
AKA mid.
it. I mean, yeah, it is what it is.
I think they're much better than mid. They're an above average football team.
They're in the
Falcons are at
above
best average.
They're in the above mid category, and the Falcons are in like the below mid category.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
a -3 spread. Like, so to guard Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and then
You got
ETN.
AJ Terrell.
Yeah, the
That
Falcons
defense. The Falcons defense is pretty stout.
You want to hear a very, very meaningless stat? It might change your mind, DB.
Okay.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are 1-19 straight up in their last 20 games against opponents in the NFC conference.
Okay.
19.
This is and stats that like
What, another one?
they're different teams. Like I don't understand these stats that date back to where like they're different teams. I mean, it's meaningless.
They're 0-6 in last 6 games in October against the spread. I mean, I'm giving you.
So you're saying Trevor Lawrence just forgets how to play football in October? Is that what you're saying?
What it sounds like. Last 6 games.
That's what the numbers say.
Noise. So Jaguars getting it done against the Falcons, and that'll do it. Nick, I guess he'll just send his picks and we'll post those on Saturday, Sunday. So
Yeah.
thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. Helps out the channel a lot. We'll be back for our DFS show breakdown tomorrow.